Hello, friends from the manga world. My name is G,
And I'm Hector.
and we're here to talk about our picks for the June new releases, June 2024. This is for manga. Hector and I, we work for Penguin Random House, so the titles that you'll see here are those that we can sell around the world. The way that we do these is we'll start off with our picks, then go over some new volume ones to keep a lookout for, and then we'll leave you with the rest of the list with continuing volumes that you don't want to miss out on those either, too. And if you see some titles repeated, like if you've seen our video from last month, we do this on a monthly basis. Um, just know that there are production delays. Titles get moved back sometimes with on sale dates. So just keep that in mind if you see those repeats. So we'll go ahead and get started with our picks. And first off, I believe is Hector.
It's me.
Mhm.
And we're going to start with Danganronpa 2, Chiaki Nanami's Goodbye Despair Quest, Volume 1. Obviously, part of Danganronpa 2. This is, this has been one of my favorite series for a long time. And I forget right now when it started, but it's if you don't know Danganronpa, it's a survival sort of game, survival series. So in the vein of Hunger Games, Battle Royale, Alice in Borderland, or like High Rise Invasion, or like the game Among Us a little bit. But it's like it actually is more like Among Us than anything else. And they all, each one, Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3, they are all the it's not different seasons in the same story. It's like different group of people involved in the game. So it's like, yeah, sort of different storylines, but it's the same. It's you get transported, a group of kids gets transported to sort of a VR world, and they have to uh play these games, and they have to find there's a murder, and then they have to identify who the killer is. And if they don't identify the killer correctly, the killer, if they all accuse somebody, that person gets sort of trapped. And if they don't identify the killer, they don't prove that that's the killer, or they don't end up being not the right killer, that person goes free. If it's the right killer, then they die horribly, sort of in like a machine kind of. Usually it's like a trap kind of contraption, sort of like Saw, the Saw movies. It's very gruesome, although it looks very cute on the covers, but it's like the combination of that. And you see the bear on the right, and then the bunny also, but they are sort of the ringmasters of this game. So in this case, we're concentrating on this one is a spin-off of Danganronpa 2 with Chiaki Nanami, who's the character you see in front of you, and I believe she's called like the world top gamer or something like that. She's supposed to be like really, really, really good at games. So of course she has a big advantage. They all have sort of their characteristics, and there's a reason why they are picked for this gruesome game. Uh, I'm not going to tell you a lot more about the plot. You should read to find out. I have read some of the previous one. I've also watched probably all the anime that is out there. I do want to mention something very important for our friends from around the world, is that we appear. Sometimes our publishers don't necessarily have all the rights for all the countries, but in for Danganronpa, for the other ones, for number one, there aren't rights for all the countries for the English edition. For this one, there are world rights. So that's a big deal too. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. So highly recommend it. I'm definitely reading this. It's, like I said, one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Yep.
Next up, the departure here. This is the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Volume 1. This is very much like a Romeo and Juliet type of story where you have, instead of two different factions of like houses. We have
Mhm.
two rival schools, and the first is Chidori High, which is like this boys' school that takes like the the delinquent boys with the lowest grades and put them all together in a school. And then right next door, there's a neighboring school, and that's Kikyo Girls High School. This is where the wealthiest high class families send their daughters, their precious daughters. And so you have like the boys and girls school right next to each other. And so there is Rintaro, who is this like looks like a delinquent, like has a fierce face, but he's gentle at heart. He so gentle in the fact that he helps with his family's business at the bakery, and he meets this girl at the bakery named Karuko, and she's from the girls' school. And they hit it off right away because they both love eating desserts. So he doesn't like eating pastries. But it's like a very sweet, innocent, wholesome, like thing that they have going on. And this piece is like quickly disturbed when he discovers that she's from that girls' school, and their friends are like, "What? Like, I can't believe you're talking to her. You're talking to him.
It's
Are you
like a
sure he
Romeo and
isn't
Juliet kind of
dangerous?"
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. So, really fun. And this was all over Japan, like with billboards. I'm like, what's the name? Billboards, like posters of this in train stations. So, yes, this is something you don't want to miss out on. So.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to at some point I need help people explain to me why uh a blonde guy who's tall and a serious face is considered delinquent automatically in Japan, because that's what I see from all the different manga and anime. But somebody's gonna have to explain to me later. If
It's
you want to
probably
put it in
because,
the comments, feel free to
yeah,
put it in the
common. But I
comments.
mean, you know, I don't know what it's like these days, but I'm sure it's frowned upon for students to dye their hair. So the fact that he has
Yeah,
his
yeah,
hair
yeah.
dyed,
Just different,
the small bit of
culturally
resistance and
culturally
revolting.
different,
Yeah.
obviously for me. Yeah. Anyways.
All right. So
Next up is Kaina of the Great Snow Sea #1. I'm extremely excited. I was so excited when Kodansha announced that they were going to publish this in English, because early last year, the anime for this came out, first season, and I was in awe. I am still in awe. I love it. It was one of my favorite from last year, and I think it was one of those underrated, kind of went under the radar. It didn't get a lot of promotion, but if you look at the reviews, there was a lot of really great reviews for it. So as soon as I heard this is coming in English, I'm so excited. Just to tell you a little bit about the story. Kaina is the character you see here, and he lives up in the canopy on this world that is sort of uh, in the description they mentioned Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind and Castle in the Sky. It's more like Nausicaa. It's sort of like this dystopian after the end of the world, and he lives on this canopy. Like there are these huge trees. They're called orbital spire trees that are growing from the ground. The world has it's just water underneath, basically, and the sea is snow sea, so it's like it looks like little clouds, and there are these huge trees that they're called orbital spire trees because they'll go all the way to the sky, and there's on top of each tree there's also like this sort of cloud and this sort of snow cloud that connects the whole sky, and you can walk on it, and people live in these trees, and they go around and they open holes on the sky, sort of if it was like if it was ice, and they catch these creatures so they can feed themselves and all that. And Kaina is he lives in this one village in this one tree. They believe they're the only ones left in the world, and it's he's the only young person, Everybody else is seniors. They're all seniors. And he does have a happy life, but he looks down and he wonders what life would be going down there. And I don't see that they mention it in the description, so I'm not going to ruin anything. But somebody happens, there's a visitor, and kind of opens the door for kind of to explore the world. I love this fantasy world that Tsutomu Nihei created. It's very beautiful. It's very intriguing. It's full of a lot of geographical wonder and physical wonder and the landscapes and all that, but also he put a lot of political and social intrigue into it. um, and he created these characters that are very deep, and especially the character of Kaina, where imagine this kid just growing in a village where it's only old people, and he's by himself, and he's a teenager. He hasn't all he's seen in the world is this one village, which is really in the top of the trunk of a tree, and just like plain clouds, and that's it. And then obviously you discover he's discovering the rest of the world as he's discovering. So I love when they do that in stories, and he has that sort of innocence also, not knowing anything other outside of the village he comes from. So highly recommend this one. I read recently that they are planning to do an anime of the second arc of this. So, but I can't wait to just read all of it when it comes out. Definitely. Um, yes, this is awesome. Highly recommend it.
Next up, I have Ninja versus Gokuro Volume 1. This, I can't tell you how much traction on social media the creator gets, because I've seen them post like one sketch gets
Yeah.
millions upon millions of views just for that alone. But in terms of like, don't really hear much about them on the US side, but that's gonna change now because we're releasing an English edition, where I'm talking
English.
about
Yeah.
Kodansha is releasing a English translation, which is amazing. I think this will be huge, and I'm talking about well, they compare this to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Fist of the North Star, huge titles, and so um, I I strongly believe that this will do very well for us.
Mhm.
And it's also a very interesting story. If you don't know anything about me, I just love the the Yakuza ninja, which you'll have both of them here, where you have Shinoha, who's a freaking ninja and has trauma as ninjas tend to have with a dark past. And then we have Kwame, who is just seemingly looks like a businessman, but he's actually a yakuza. And if you don't know, ninjas, yakuza has been fighting hundreds of years. In this case, 300 years at war between each other. So when they first meet, it's all punch, 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 stab. I just love the action here. And yeah, so the point is this manga is full of punchy fun, and you should read it too. And this is not the final cover image.
Yeah.
You'll see that a bit later. But yes, yes, don't want
Yeah.
to miss out on this one.
A lot of Romeo and Juliet kind of stories in this video. Anyway, next up, Mermaid Prince by Kori Ozaki. This is an anthology of short stories, 3 stories. Um, and you can get a sense of what kind of stories they are, and the sort of the feel of what it is from this cover, which looks a little bit kind of like a Miyazaki or Shinkai movie poster, um, which I wouldn't be surprised if Shinkai does a movie with this. But this is Kaori Osaki. If you've heard that name before, it's because He's the creator and author of the God's Lie, and also the Golden Sheep. I haven't checked out the Golden Sheep yet, but the God's Lie I've read, and it's so good. It's very good. And in this case, he is presenting three different stories. They're not connected, but they're connected in the theme that they are about where do you belong, uh, how do what do you do when you're by yourself, but we want to be you with somebody else, or suddenly find where you somebody where you can belong to, that kind of thing. And the first story, which is what we see in the cover, is called the Prince Out of Water. And sorry, I'm going to read a little bit of the descriptions. Mugi is a big city kid struggling to adjust to life in Okinawa, where he moved with his sister and new brother-in-law. But to his only friend, Matori, he's a bona fide prince. Feeling out of place at home, Mugi runs away from Matori's house and learns about legendary mermaids who will grant you one wish if you can make it to them alive. So that's the first one, and we get a lot more about that one. But then there's two more stories. One of them is sorry, uh, Ame, Ametsukigahara. It is a short story about a young girl trying to navigate the complicated emotions that come with growing up apart from friends. And one snowy day, a tale of a librarian who encounters an unusual father and son seeking shelter from unforgiving winter whiteout. I really love when they do anthologies like this with stories that are sort of more modern fairy tale kind of feeling to them. And I already know from reading the God Slides that I'm going to love this because, the author, the creator, Kaori Osaki, did an excellent job of doing that, just that, like presenting a story in a modern world that feels like a fairy tale, a fantasy fairy tale. So looking forward to this one for sure.
Okay, and then I have Reborn Rich. This is volume
Yeah.
one. Talked about this many times. This one, what's very interesting is this blew up, especially when the K-drama came out. It's considered as like one of the most like one of the higher grossing K-dramas on cable network history in Korea themselves. So this is we're getting a full colored webtoon coming out in English for the first time. And this one is about a man who like is grueling for years in a corporate empire called Sonyeon Group, and it's like South Korea's largest business empire. And he's rewarded by this, unfortunately, by betrayal and murder. And he gets reborn and given a second chance, and he's reborn back like in time in like the 1980s, and he's the grandson of the founder of this corporate dynasty that betrayed him. So it's like this like long-term revenge, which I love,
Yeah.
like the small, like the slow burn, but like going at the root of it from a child to when he grows up,
Yeah.
which is really cool. I was talking to a friend about this because she wasn't aware how like in Korea itself, like the chaebol or like the business conglomerates society is very much like the royal family in the way
Yeah.
because of the whole drama surrounding like even like I'm sure like we're using fake names here, right? Like
Yeah.
fake businesses, but like it is a thing. Like if you look at the news and seeing how like influential those corporate businesses are, but to
Yeah.
see that in a story and like the political machinations that come out of this and like a really satisfying, really fun revenge story with this title.
Yeah.
So yeah, really cool.
Yeah, I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to this one. I love obviously the isekai aspect of it, but also sort of the business revenge kind of thing. Also reminds me obviously a little bit of Succession, but also I forget the drama that you introduced me to, that is about the 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 guy who, oh, we're not gonna have time for this, but Itaewon,
Itaewon Class, yeah.
yes, which is sort of about, a little bit about the revenge part, and
Mhm.
he's trying to make it starting this small restaurant after his father dies to compete and to get revenge from this big conglomerate of big restaurants. So, you should check it out too. By the way, it's awesome. But this reminds me a little bit of that too.
Yeah. Although, although this one's interesting because it's like it, being an insider in a way, like
Yeah, no,
reborn as
no,
like
of
an
course.
insider
And
to sort of
reborn,
like,
it has that twist of the
it's
isekai,
layered.
and not just isekai, but reborn inside, and they don't know that who he is. Yeah,
Mhm.
who he's supposed to
Yeah.
be. Yeah,
Really
awesome.
fun. All
Right.
right. And volume
So now we're
ones.
going to talk about volume ones. This year I'm going to put my glasses on. Sorry. So this is Chasing Spica volume one. In this jury girl's love drama, a flashy but studious high schooler discovers that her rival, a strict disciplinary committee member, may also be more than meets the eye. I love this cover too. It's like very cool, and the colors and the shades and the highlights on it. Gravitation Collector's Edition Volume 1 is next. And this is Kanak Boys Love BL manga is back. The inspiration for the popular anime of the same name. 7C presents this romantic comedy of a rock star and his novelist boyfriend in large trim omnibus editions featuring an all new translation, which I love when they do that, new translations. And third on this slide, you will see my noisy roommate. The roof over my head comes with monsters and a hottie, number one. And when Osuke loses his home, a convenient opportunity presents itself. Too convenient because his new roommate is a hot blonde guy with some weird ideas about the supernatural. If you thought Ghostbusters would have been way better as the BL, this is the manga for you. So there you go for Ghostbuster fans. If you ever wonder about Ghostbusters BL, there you go. You wish it's coming true.
I love
I
the
want to read this. I do want to read this.
I love the speech bubble. The roof over my head comes with monsters and a honey.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, very
Okay,
cool.
and then continuing on with volume ones, we have Hirojima, My Hero manga box. This was also an anime a couple years ago, but this box set includes volumes 1 to 6. Obviously, that's not the final image. It doesn't look like a box set. So it's
No.
like the image of volume one. So you'll see that shortly later, once that uh reveal is released. And then we have, oh, by the way, it's a BL. If you
Yes.
didn't know, it's a BL. And then we have Royal Tailor, Clothier to the Crown, Volume 1. Hannah has this lifelong dream to become a tailor, to make wonderful clothes for different fantasy races, which is very interesting because like she would have to like make adjustments depending on who her clientele is. However, in this world, humans are discriminated against, and even getting work is a struggle for a seamstress. So, this handsome, mysterious prince offers her a job, and it seems like her fortunes are going to turn. So, you're going to have to read to find out more to see what trouble she gets
Yeah.
herself into. And then I really love this title, Stay by My Side After the Rain, Volume 1. It's close to home in the sense where this is a BL manga about a salary man who works as a sales who works in sales and publishing.
And publishing, yeah.
Yeah, and he reunites with his crush from high school, and the story commences from there. So yeah, so that's it for volume ones. We'll leave you with the rest of the list. As always, we enjoy
Yeah.
doing these. We do these monthly to go over upcoming manga. We also do one for collected editions. But also check us out on YouTube on this channel, but also on other social media platforms such as Twitter X and Instagram at PRH International Comics. And yeah, comment down below on what you'd be interested in picking up for the month of June. So yeah, so we'll end here, but stick around so that you could see more
Yeah.
titles. Bye, everyone.
Bye.